People of Reddit, what was the most NSFW event you ever stumbled upon in high school? Not me, but a friend of mine who was yearbook photographer. She was a real thin, awkward, geeky high schooler and was asked to photograph a day in the life of the swim team. Our school had the football fever, and so other sports were always trying to get more than a few mentions in the yearbook packed with dozens of football shots. So my friend showed up to the swim team practice and later state tournament. She was asked to join them at their victory party, which was at someone's house with its own pool and hot tub. When she got there, most of the team was already drunk, and not an adult in sight. There were also a lot of girlfriends of the team there, and more than once, my friend was asked to join them naked in the hot tub. Sex was pretty freely flowing, and she strived constantly to get acceptable photos instead of the wanton depravity around her. At one point, some naked girl was chugging while she was in the cowboy position, screwing on top of her boyfriend while everyone cheered her on. They kept begging my friend to take photos, and she refused in horrified shock. Some of the guys got really handsy with her until finally she picked a time when they were distracted, and she left. She later was crying to her best friend because she felt so stressed out, and it was nothing like she expected. Sort of like showing a 10-year-old Caligula when they were expecting Toy Story 2. Only one photo made it to yearbook from that party. A hot tub photo where she had to crop out the beer keg, and everyone's body was below the waterline so you couldn't tell they were naked. I was a dildo peddler for a while at school. Girls who wanted sex toys but didn't want to buy them themselves or cold would pay me the cost and a bit extra for me to get it for them simply because I had no shame as a 17-year-old. My high school had to ban blankets after 2 freshmen were caught having sex under one in the middle of the art hallway. I walked into a bathroom after a fight. Broken mirror, blood smeared on the wall and floor, water every way probably unrelated to the fight, and a lot of bloody tissues in the sink. Oh, and there was a turd in the urinal. I hope that was unrelated to the fight. A freshman got jerked off by his girlfriend under the table in the cafeteria during lunch. Someone sitting near them noticed was happening, took a video, and posted it online. The administration quickly found out. The video was taken down, and all 3 involved were suspended. I ran cross-country in high school. Sometimes during practice we would run through trails in the woods surrounding the high school. One day right after school ended we started running down the trails and stumbled upon 2 students having sex. Judging by their reactions, I don't think they were expecting a group of 15 guys to run by while they were getting it on. 8th grade sex ed. Teacher showed us a video of a woman giving birth. Very close shots, very graphic, very disturbing to most 8th graders. Weird kid in the class sticks his arms into his shirt and starts jerking off to the fully dilated vagina being shown on the 200-inch projector screen. We had a girl who would sit in the back of the bus and seemed to always have a different dude sit next to her. Turns out she was giving guys hand jobs for a small price. In middle school, some kids walked in and started having sex in the stall next to me while I was pooping. Eventually they smelt my presence. I went to a boarding school my freshman year of high school, and a few weeks in, I volunteered to help walk our librarian's dog for her while her leg was healing after an injury. So I was walking this huge dog through the woods around campus when he suddenly sniffed the air and just ripped the leash out of my hands and took off into the underbrush. I started chasing after him when I heard screaming and yelling. I thought, oh God, this dog mauled someone and I'm going to get expelled. Broke through a clearing and there were 5 half-naked upperclassmen trying to put their clothes on and scatter while this dog is joyously barking and jumping up on and licking them. Walked into a bathroom after school and found a guy and a girl about to go to town. She had her shirt off and skirt up. He had his pants on. I caught them just before the moment of insertion. I said nothing. I would have left them to it. Except all other bathrooms on campus except this one were always locked shortly before last bell. So I silently walked to a urinal, calmly did my business, properly washed my hands. By the time I went to leave, the girl was hiding in a stall, and the guy was waiting by the door. I shrugged at the guy. Guy shrugged back. I left and heard the door lock behind me. Not one of us said anything or made a sound during the entire exchange. In band before a football game, I walk into the percussion room to hang with the homies. Everyone is huddled around this dude in the corner of the room laughing, so of course I walk over to check it out. Turns out the dude was showing everyone how tiny his dick is and everyone was so fascinated. Yeah, it was really small, like from the tip of your pinky to the first knuckle down. I've never seen anything like it, lol. Some kid at a party got blackout wasted and shot himself. In the middle of the crowd he took his pants down and slipped in it. Proceeded to army crawl to try and make it out but just smeared it everywhere. He is still known as the party pooper. I went to a small party at my friend's house. My girlfriend and I got there late. We went in and noticed nobody was in the living room. Weird. They said they'd be here. Start walking to the back and I could hear several voices in the bedroom. I just opened the door and there were 7 of my friends just having a casual orgy. Freshman year of high school, football team is out practicing. A senior varsity player came into the freshman locker room, cut all the locks off our lockers, and stole our clothes. Nice enough to take wallets and phones etc. out of pockets and leave them in the lockers though. Idiot didn't realize the hallway cameras had him the whole time. Most of us chose not to shower until we got home and as a team proceeded to leave in groups in undershirts and boxers or no shirts and boxers after getting a call our rides were there. Small town, small school. So ultimately he was just benched for a few games, suspended for a day or two, and his parents had to buy a bunch of padlocks. Went to teacher's room to get some papers that my Portuguese teacher had forgotten and stumbled at my gym and biology teachers kissing each other really hard over the meeting table. I mean, they didn't even notice me. And oh, it was a Catholic school and they were both married. My face when I returned to class without the papers must have been priceless. What happens in the locker room should stay in the locker room. With that said, I once walked in on a kid shoving a crucifix up his ass on a dare from his friends. A sophomore at my school gave a freshman a donut filled with cum. He got criminal charges. Janitor in elementary school died while mopping the floor, and somehow this didn't get around the entire school, and my entire class saw them taking his covered-up body out the front door. A security guard from my school died. He died around November last year, and when my school had the pep rally in the school auditorium, every student stood up for a moment of silence for the security guard. Even though I never really met him, it's very sad having a security guard die young. A kid in the grade below me died from pneumonia. He was 14. Most kids found out the next day at school. Since he was in band, they brought a grief counselor into the band homeroom to tell us. The whole room burst into tears at the same time. The school set up spaces in the library for kids to go to throughout the day to talk to grief counselors. All the students in the school came together a few days later and brought candles to his parents' house. I walked past his house on my way to school, and his parents never took the candles off their front steps. His funeral was the same weekend as the band trip, so no one in the band could go. We made sure to keep a chair open for him and put a picture of him on it. It was his birthday a few days ago. He would have been 23. Had a guy run through the school completely naked. High school, by the way. Even ran up and slapped some teacher's ass. Haven't heard of him since, but they was like 5+ years ago. Fresh jizz on a locker room bench. A kid pulled his pants down in Spanish class and pissed in the corner. A kid with a mental handicap who would vigorously masturbate in AP Political Science at least once a week. One day in AP Poli-Sci, the kid with Asperger's sat alone in a row of empty chairs all closely placed together directly in front of the teacher. In the middle of class, he reclined across 4 adjacent seats and went to work in his pants. At my angle, I could see everything. The tent, his forearm pistoning up and down, the veins in his neck. He stuck out his tongue and curled his toes, taunting us like that for 5, maybe 10 seconds, before the teacher shouted at him. This kid did weird shit, but he was in a number of my AP classes and, I think, legitimately earned his way. He carried our team's ass in AP Brit Lit junior year during in-class Jeopardy games. We had a kid that would strip down naked and dry hump girls. They let it happen until he bit someone hard enough to get stitches. So they built a big fence around the special education unit so that he couldn't get out. Problem was the special education unit was along the main road. So cars would drive by and see the naked special ed kid in what was practically a giant dog run. To stop everyone seeing him naked, They covered the fence with black shirт cloth so you couldn't see in. So I'm in HS theatre class and have been helping the teacher out with a lot of tasks like setting up the green room and stuff. Just little helpful stuff. Well, apparently one of us left the door unlocked and unattended for a little too long. In our green room were two big blue couches that were the most uncomfortable things I had ever sat on. Teacher comes running into the room from the hall and says, "I think someone is in the green room. Go with me so I can have a witness." Thinking nothing of it, I go. We stand by the door and someone is most deaf in there, making some pretty unusual sounds. I realize what the sound is a half second before the teacher throws the door open to two kids from my class getting down on that couch. I only had like 2 seconds of view time before the teacher screams, "Good golly, Miss Molly," and slams the door. I sat outside that door crying from laughing for about 20 minutes before they knocked on the door to be let out, realizing we had the stage completely locked down. The look on their faces when the principal let them out and led them to his office will forever be in my mind. Can you imagine? Balls deep about to blow and from over your shoulder a "Good golly, Miss Molly." I dream of it sometimes and still wake up laughing. We had many PCs in our school, and every computer room had a projector. So once when the teacher was ill and no replacement came, we were in that room. Someone started the projector and quickly found out that every porn site he tried is blacklisted. But playing from USB apparently works fine. We later found out, not only are the connections whitelisted, but also fully monitored. Not long after the movie show with sound and everything started, the IT tech guy comes with a substitute teacher. That internet search history was apparently enough for them to suddenly have a substitute teacher for us.